Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to be taking a look at The Apparition by Sleep Token in our continuation of the Taking Back the Eden series I'm doing. As a reminder, I have done every song before this, so go check those out if you want to get caught up. I've also done all of This Place Will Become Your Tomb by Sleep Token as well, the previous album. I put those all in a playlist so you guys can watch it. That's all I wanted to say, so we'll hop right into it.
Why are you never real? Whenever you appear, you leave me with that grace. I am trembling with fear, but I know that you will disappear just as I awake, a whisper in my ear. Well, I believe that somewhere in the past,
These harmonies are great.
something was between you and I, my dear, and it remains with me to this day. No matter what I do, this scar will never fade.
Super interesting that this song starts a lot like Are You Really Okay? Excuse me. In that we get a more traditional kind of rock instrumentation here, where you've got the clean guitar starting us off and this haunting progression. It's like, I don't know what you would call it, like a minor progression. It sounds like it's kind of descending, right? And we can hear the synths in the background kind of swelling up behind Vessel, who sounds great. He adds harmony halfway through this first verse to give us a little bit more flavor on it. But so far, we're keeping it low, giving it what I would call this like haunting atmosphere.
I will never fade.
Very airy synth. It's very... sounds like we're in a very big room right now. The trap beats are back on this one.
So let's make trouble in the dream world. Hijack heaven with another memory now. I'll make the most of the turning tide. It's just split what's left of the burning silence. Don't wait, cause this could be the last time you turn up in the reveries of my mind. I'll wake up to a suicide frenzy. Loaded dreams still leave me. I believe somewhere.
I really like this transition here for the second half of this, I guess, continued verse here. It's very, very long to go for, to not get to a chorus, essentially. But we bring the trap beats in, we have the guitar drop out, and we've got synths and very airy, not airy, but like booming, ethereal background vocals going on, where you can hear Vessel doing some vocalizations in the back to give it that kind of, you know, trap feel that so much of this album has kind of borrowed from, which is pretty cool. And here, in this transition, if you listen to the back, the guitars are going to come back in. They're layering things in to make the sounds interesting, even though we're kind of sitting on the same idea for the verse for a long time. The instrumentation is really interesting to keep it fresh.
If dreams still leave me, I believe somewhere in the past.
You can hear the guitars come back in.
Was between you and I, my dear, and it remains with me to this day. No matter what I do, this wound will never heal. Why are you never real?
synth has come back to the background. Yep, there it is. Back to the forefront. Oh, there's some crazy vocal runs going on in the background if you listen really carefully, where Vessel's getting up there. Very back in the mix though, because this driving synth melody is the main focus right now, with the guitars coming in under it, which I really like. We were introduced to just that synth part by itself before we got into the trap part of the song. So it's more impactful when it comes back again, and it kind of builds behind the rest of the chorus. But this is a super interesting sound for Sleep Token. This is a very big, like, hard rock chorus. More traditional hard rock chorus than we're used to hearing from Sleep Token. The first time I heard it, I thought it sounded a lot like Breaking Benjamin in tone for the chorus. That's kind of the best analogy I could kind of wrap my head around for what this sounded like when we finally got to that big chorus. I think even the timbre of his voice at times sounds like Breaking Benjamin's singer whenever he's doing the more rock-driven stuff. So, of course, I love that band. So that's not an insult by any means. It's definitely praising them for what they've done here. Got the verse back behind everything. Oh my god. The drummer's going nuts. I don't know how the drummer does this, where it goes nuts in the background, but it's never like super distracting. It still meshes well. Like, he does some crazy fills, but they're usually pretty contained to parts where it's not going to be distracting for everything else. Yeah, if that's the one constant throughout their discography and sound, is their drummer is just going nuts all the time. Incredible work by everyone in the band. Which I believe it is just Vessel and the drummer, who do the writing for this. So they clearly work really well together. I feel like the drumming really brings the epicness of this forward and helps drive it, because the thing that is happening here that normally I would say is not super great is there's a lot of repetition. But Sleep Token know how to take familiar things that they've already written and make it fresh again. Like the background of this big instrumental section that just keeps going. It was the chorus, it brought in that familiar synth melody, and then we layered in the verse lyrics over top of the rest of this instrumental. So it's taking and rearranging familiar things in new ways. So as a listener, you're like, oh, I've already heard this. And that's kind of exciting to get the call back, because you kind of can latch onto it as a listener. However, there's still all this crazy stuff going on if you're interested in the instrumental to focus on as well. It's really exciting. Oh, well, let me get the last drum fill. If you've seen like the memes of, there's been a bunch of them. It's like Take Me Back to Eden on shuffle or whatever. There's always the meme for the Apparition, and it's that meme of John Cena where he's on is it like Jimmy Fallon show, and he's over there doing like he's got the headphones on, he's doing this. That's always me at the end of the song. just just vibing as it fades out. That's a fun fade out. So I know that when this album first dropped, people were latching on to this song super hard. And I kind of slept on it for a while, to be honest with you. I didn't like it that much the first time I heard it. And I think it's just because it's a little, I don't want to say unfortunate where it falls on the album, but it falls between like Ascensionism, and we'll get to the closing tracks. But there were other tracks I liked more, where this one kind of fell away. For me, it didn't quite hit the same level, but I mean, listening back to it now, it's great. I don't have really any complaints about it. I still don't like it quite as much as the epic tracks. However, what it does is a lot of fun. Which, once again, something I never thought I'd really say about Sleep Token's music is that it has this like fun quality with the trap beats and the flow of Vessel, big choruses. You know, it's definitely a different vibe than I think we've heard. But it still maintains kind of the haunting chord progression, the haunting synth sounds. Like when it's fading out, even before that. See if I can find it. Like this synth sound is not quite right. It sounds like it's kind of falling apart, which I think is intentional to kind of give you that weird, just uncanny feeling. Because the song, which is called The Apparition, very much follows its namesake in themes, right? We're talking about what seems to be a ghost that is haunting Vessel. So we get it very clearly here, and let me make sure I pull this up so you guys can see it. It's very on the nose immediately. Why are you never real? And I think this can immediately act as the thesis statement, right, for this whole entire song, is just why are you just not here? Why are you this phantom? Trembling with fear, I know that you will disappear just as I awake. Whisper in my ear. So this is something that has been going on, if we're treating the song as Vessel talking about sleep, this is something that has been going on for a long time. Where sleep leaves Vessel, presumably in the morning, right? Whenever he wakes up, he can no longer be with her. But now we get it reframed as the fact that even whenever they're together, something's artificial about it. She's not really there. And we do get I believe somewhere in the past, something was between you and I, my dear. And it remains with me to this day, no matter what I do, this scar will never fade. So he's got a lot of pain remembering this, but it is interesting because now we're getting more past tense stuff going on here. As well, with the kind of the trap section, says, let's make trouble in the dream world, hijack heaven with another memory. So this, once again, is kind of like a past tense thing. He knows that a memory is not real, right? The dream world is not real. This is kind of actually a monumental change if this is Vessel talking about sleep, because she has been extremely real to him for albums now, kind of controlling his life to some degree, obsessing over her. And he says, I make the most of the turning tide. It just split what's left of the burning silence. Turning tide, I think that is something that since Ascensionism on this album, we've kind of got a very concrete idea that he is changing. He's especially changing how he thinks about sleep. She has become more and more artificial. And now it seems like she's kind of gone from not just artificial in the sense of, like, in the last song, she kind of showed up as like a robot or something like that. Now we're talking artificial as in, like, not even that tangible. Now like a ghost that haunts him. says, "This could be the last time you turn up in the reveries of my mind. I wake up to a suicide frenzy," which, if you think about sundowning, I see frenzy, I think of what's that song? It says, "You've got me up in a frenzy again." Say That You Will. That's the name of the song. That reminds me of Say That You Will. Obviously, he has had self-harm ideation and attempts on his life previously in songs such as Atlantic, so it seems like he is still being haunted. Even the apparition of sleep is enough to drive him to this horrible, horrible place. Bloated dreams still leave me empty. And I think to kind of round this out, to kind of nail down the idea that Vessel, is changing in some way. He says once again, "Why are you never real? The shifting states that you follow me through." So he's not the same as he was. He still has not changed enough, though, to leave her behind. Even now, even though she's not real to him anymore, she's still following him around, still taking over his mind at night, or in his memories at least, right? So even though she's not real, she still poses a threat to him. And what's interesting is the character for this, I think, embodies this really well. So this is supposed to be Sleep embodied again, I believe, because this little headpiece here, I don't know what you call it, the little tuft that comes off the back, is the same as we've seen for previous songs that are very clearly about sleep, in my opinion. So that is a design detail that is the same as we move forward. It also looks like there may be kind of like that jewelry from Macarija, maybe still adorning this figure. But the most striking thing to me is this kind of looks more like just a hollow suit of armor now. We've got this skeletal figure that's now in the armor. So the idea of becoming less and less real, less and less human, less and less of this tangible thing that can affect Vessel is embodied here in the fact that, quite literally, if this is Sleep, she is decaying in front of his eyes. This is also apparent to me in the weapon imagery. I think there's supposed to be this almost comical disconnect between this huge weapon here. This is like a hammer. It's like an anvil on a stick almost. And the just dilapidated state of the figure. Like, they should not be able to lift this, right? They don't have nearly enough muscle on them to lift this and wield this weapon. However, they're still very dangerous, even though they might be physically, non-existent or physically weak. They still pose a threat. One thing I do want to mention about this is, if you look really close, I had a really hard time getting a good high-res image of this. There are runes on this figure, on these like little scraps of, I guess they might be flags or scraps of cloth or something like that. It's very hard to see. I spent an embarrassing amount of time squinting at this image. I even went and got a shirt that has all the figures on it. I went and looked at it for an embarrassing amount of time, like just staring at this figure, trying to decode what's going on with those runes. So if you don't know, there is something that people are calling the Eden cipher. If you have noticed, all the different songs are written out in this cipher. So it says over here, this is the apparition in the Eden cipher. So people have decoded it. You can find it if you Google Sleep Token Eden cipher. People have got a key for you to use if you're curious. I tried to decode this. I've got my conspiracy scribblings on an envelope. I couldn't make any sense of it. It doesn't make words, that's for sure. For example, the loincloth looking thing right here, I got SMCEN, not a word. So I got the same kind of things for the other scraps. They are not full words. It may be a cipher within a cipher. It may be that they're scrambled. I don't know if that's supposed to be something we're supposed to figure out, or if it's just to kind of elucidate the point that sleep is becoming less and less coherent, kind of fading away, maybe something like that. I'm not really sure. I was really excited when I noticed those runes were there because I was like, oh, maybe it'll give me some more insight. But yeah, it looks to be nonsense. I looked at the subreddit, and they don't really know what's going on. One person had a theory that it unscrambled to mean something like mercy and conscience or something like that. I'm not really sure though. But if you guys want to put on your detective hats and have a go at it, maybe you'll see something in it that I didn't see, because I can't unscramble it. I don't know what it's supposed to say. But either way, that's all I have to say about the Apparition. A great song that has grown on me since the album release. If you enjoyed this video and you want to give it a like, that would help me out a lot. Subscribe if you want to see videos like this. I will be doing the rest of Take Me Back to Eden. And I will see you on the next one.